It's episode 101 of the Nerd Rundown podcast. Coming up this week on the big show, Darren and I talk about how Apple Plus has been killing it. Michael Keaton will be coming back for Beetlejuice 2 to give us some more of our favorite Ghost with the Most. We get a release date for the final season of Jack Ryan as our favorite intelligence analyst turned action star wraps up the series. The trailer train has some potential gems plus one turd.
There's always a turd.
And the NRDbox sets us up for what's coming next on our little slice of the internet. Ready, hit it.
Welcome back to the Nerd Rundown podcast, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. I'm Darren Stemple.
And I am Erik Hare.
You can find us on our social media, such as Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all at the Nerd Rundown. If you're experiencing this on YouTube, thank you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications for when we post one of our shows, just like the brand new Nerd Rundown reactions.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for the support on that over the past week. Also, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and if you do get the audio-only podcast, if you wouldn't mind leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or wherever you happen to grab them from. If you can, like the show, share with your friends, all that good stuff. And for sure, on YouTube, definitely hit that like button if you've watched the video and you appreciate what we're doing. Hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm out and helps us spread the word about the show.
We got a lot of great stuff to share with you, so yeah, you won't want to miss any show, and you won't want to miss the show when we grow into the biggest podcast of all time. That's the goal.
So we have Joe Rogan on our show.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be interviewing him someday. Well, now that's out of the way, let's hear a word about our incredible sponsor, Combat the Chaos. It's no secret here at the Nerd Rundown that we support our veterans and our first responders. We ask that you do the same thing through our sponsor, Combat the Chaos. They're a veteran-owned clothing company that donates part of their proceeds to other amazing organizations supporting these warriors and guardians. If you're a veteran, you're at a 57% higher risk of suicide than those who have not served. As a veteran myself, this cause hits very close to home. This shirt and hat are some of the items available if you follow our link in the description down below to combatthechaos.com. Use the discount code NRD for 15% off and help us fight this battle that veterans and first responders so desperately need. Now, back to the rundown. All right, so I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 this past weekend. A freaking phenomenal movie. I cannot wait to see that movie again. Freaking phenomenal. No spoilers here, but just go see that movie as soon and as many times as you can. Phenomenal movie. Yep. Best movie since No Way Home.
Yes. Yep. I mean, I walked out of it.
Well, sorry, Top Gun Maverick.
I went
in the theater.
Best Marvel movie.
Best Marvel movie.
Best Marvel movie since No Way Home. So, I of course like to go to the late shows when I can. I'll go by myself, and so I went to a 10 o'clock. I think it didn't start till like 10:30, and there were 20 minutes of trailers before, so it was almost 11 o'clock before the movie even got started. And so by the time that everything was over with, it was close to 1 o'clock in the morning. And had they had another showing, I would have turned right around and gone back in and watched it because it was amazing.
What an emotional ride. I cried like every rocket scene in the movie, whether it was past or present. I was just, gosh, rip me to shreds. But actually not what I wanted to talk about here. So funny you talk about 20 minutes of trailers.
Yeah.
I'm a big note texter during movies, but I kind of had to like start recording this experience for me because I went to the movie by myself, which I am totally in love with. Like it's kind of therapeutic in such a weird way. I love it. I'm so glad that you got me into that.
Yeah.
So I sit down and I Dad and I are aisle guys, so I get an aisle whenever I'm not with my dad.
Yep.
And the seat next to me is open, and then it's an old guy like next to that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, you know, I'm gonna be sitting next to like this grandma who's probably gonna, you know, be either an absolute joy to sit next to or an absolute nightmare. I've had both old ladies. Go both ways, I guess I should say. But this like 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid comes up the steps with like big popcorn, drink, candy, sits down.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, here's little Darren sitting down next to me. Like,
yeah.
Going to the movie with either dad or grandpa, and the trailers start. And I like I said, I'm a big non-texter during movies, but man, seeing the Mission Impossible 7 trailer on the big screen, I was like, that was, thank you, Tom Cruise. That was like one of the Tom Cruise jolts you get.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I gotta tell the guys, that was great. And then I wasn't planning on texting anymore.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo trailer comes on, and I was like, ah,
right.
What a freaking Loki bony killer! Like, just not like, why are we watching this stupid trailer? And then the next trailer came on, and I was like, I really want to play a game of like guess the trailer with you guys, but I was like, I can't do it. But it was Gasolina, so it was Fast and Furious came on, and I was like, oh, come on. But then it started to get back into a groove. Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
I was gonna say probably Transformers, right? You got the Rise of the Beast
trailer, and that twice I've seen it in theater.
Yep.
Incredible trailer, movie theater trailer. Like,
yep.
Really gives me hope for that movie.
You know, those Transformer movies, they don't translate to the smaller screen quite as well as other properties. Like the sheer spectacle and the size of those robots and stuff on a big screen, it needs to be seen. It's the same thing with like not the Godzilla or King Kong, you know,
pretty much like that though,
are on like, you know, the smaller screens. It's not like you can't watch them, like they're unwatchable, but man, you see that stuff on the big screen and you're like, oh, it's so great. It's so great to see them on the biggest screen you can see them on. If you can get to one, an IMAX screen, if you can get to one of the really great IMAX screens, not just the, you know, the ones in the little theaters, but like the
massive ones,
the massive IMAX screens. If you can get to one of those, it's just so immersive.
I think they're called Max, right? Max IMAX.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Max IMAX.
So that Transformers trailer, I was like, okay, I'm back into the trailers. Like I'm now back locked in, and so my phone was gone. I didn't pick it up again.
Yeah.
The next trailer. So I was on a trailer like buzz. The next one was Across the Spider-Verse, and I know you aren't there yet for that, but fans of that movie are so pumped for that. I don't think we're even excited enough yet.
Yeah.
And then the Indiana Jones came on, and this is where I started making a connection with this kid next to me. Because he turns to his grandpa and he goes, "Grandpa, I don't know this one. What is," and then his grandpa goes, "Oh, I know this one." And, you know, he starts talking about Indiana Jones, and I was just like, oh, this is really cool, like nerding out right here with
for sure,
grandson and grandpa. And then the Marvels came on, and then the kid took over, and he's like, it's this and this and this, and that's Iman Vellani, and she does. Right. And I was like, this is better than the trailer. Like, I was so impressed by that kid. And then throughout the movie, every time something like tied into another movie, or there was like a cameo or something big, he would turn to his grandpa and he'd be like, it's this, and then that's that, and then it's, you know, it ends and he's like, we can't go anywhere, Grandpa, there's a couple more things to come. And I'm like, he knows there's a mid and a post credit scene. So
good for him.
I was like, I didn't want to like freak him out, so I was just like, nice, good job.
Yeah.
Give him a little
yeah. Well, and I really enjoyed the after credits quite a bit. I thought they were good good after credit scenes.
I
Some
know.
of them sometimes you're like, but
well, it makes me wonder because Drax, Dave Bautista said he's done with Drax. You didn't see him in post credit scene,
right?
Zoe Saldana says she's done, which is interesting considering where she's at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
no spoilers. And then where Chris Pratt, you find Chris Pratt at the end of the movie, and all the talk of like no, without James Gunn, there's no Guardians, so they won't do it. But the tag at the end really, I can't say anything more without giving anything away. So, interesting where the Guardians go from there. That kid next to me gives me so much hope for the future of nerds. Got to bring him up. The other piece I wanted to talk about is we're a podcast that covers the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. And sometimes those TV part includes like non-nerdy stuff, but we still freaking nerd out about it when it's amazing. And I've been nerding out pretty hard this year on one platform, and that's Apple Plus. Severance, Ted Lasso, Shrinking. The last thing he told me, Blackbird, Silo, Ghosted, and you'll see something else coming up on Apple Plus later on that looks pretty good too. The only thing that I can think of that is kind of in the stratosphere of those shows, I know you haven't watched all of them, any of them other than Ted, but you'll know where I'm going with this. The only thing that can compete right now is Succession. And honestly, the last episode of Succession wasn't that great. But it's been a strong season, final season. And I think, okay, that's pretty good, but that's one show right now.
Yeah.
Okay, The Last of Us was this year too, and so some of this was from the past year, but if I look at like the game-changing shows I've watched in the last year, Shrinking is such a good show, dude. And everybody watches it is like, it's like that Ted Lasso season 1 feel.
Sure.
So, it made me go back along with Guardians of the Galaxy and start thinking about a question we had on the NRDbox a few weeks ago, which was, would you rather write, direct, or I think it was produce or something? Or act. It was act, direct, or write. And not that this is like a hindsight answer, but writing is, I think, the most important thing you can have. When you see good writing, smart writing, funny writing, James Gunn, brilliant script. Brilliant. Wrote it all. Made every decision. Severance. That's some of the most unbelievable writing I've ever seen in a TV show. Ted's
well, that's Ben Stiller too, right?
Ben Stiller directed it.
Okay.
He directed all the episodes, but the guys who wrote it, it was like in Hollywood they get like these people who read scripts, it's like a practice script. This came in as like a practice script and made it to
made it in front of the right people.
Yeah, I made it in front of the right people. Anyway, writing it's the most important thing. I will look for that first before I look for anything else.
Sure.
I don't know if that. Again, Severance. Wait till you watch Severance. Your life will change. And Ted's had a strong season.
The other day.
Oh, you did?
I did start an episode the other day. I think I watched about 10 minutes and then something sidetracked me and I got
you gotta have some patience in the beginning. But then I've watched it 3 times now. I think 3 times. Just one of it was, or a couple times was through a reaction show. But oh man, it doesn't feel slow in the second time around. Like it feels like balls to the walls the second time you watch it. It's pretty crazy.
Well, and Ted Lasso to this point has been really, really terrific. And I have not watched anything this season. I've got one I think the next episode drops tomorrow or Wednesday, I think, or something. So I always wait till that series finishes, and then I try and binge the whole thing all in one shot, because I just like, I love to be immersed in that world for just like a full amount of time. Like, that's not one that I was like a kid at Christmas who just has to peek at my presents or whatever, because I just can't wait to see more of whatever that is. So
I get it. I get it. And I like that with Stranger Things. You know, I don't know if I can do a week to week Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And I get that with Ted. We've gotten in a good rhythm with our nights. Banana and I have, you know, Sunday night is Succession night right now, and then we tacked on Still last night, the Michael J. Fox doc, which was great. Go watch that if you get a chance. Tuesday night will be Ted and, you know, an additional show that we're watching, because Ted one release, it's done. So then you got to watch something else before you go to bed. Wednesday nights, you usually like, okay, what show did we watch last night? After Ted, we'll watch 2 episodes of that. This makes it sound like all we do is watch TV, and that's not at all what we do, but it is our thing, so I'm not afraid of it. Anyway, Ghosted was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with that. Blackbird was...
Ghosted. So Ghosted is the one that we saw the trailer for.
With Chris Evans and Ana de Armas.
Oh, okay. That's okay. All right. And that was a series? That was
it's a movie.
It's a movie. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Very funny. Ana de Armas, you know, she's pretty special.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans is great in it. He's really great.
Yeah.
Blackbird is a heavy show. If you watch that, be prepared.
Okay.
And what's the guy's name in Cobra Kai? He's the older guy that liked to hang out with him. But he was a total dork.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what was his nickname?
I can't.
Whitetail or something.
Something like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't remember.
I can't remember. He plays a serial killer in that show.
Really?
That will give you nightmares.
No kidding.
Oh my gosh. True crime's a big part of this podcast coming up today. So
yeah. Well, speaking of Cobra Kai, over the weekend, so in preparation for the potential of seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in the theater, I have been prepping my children by making them watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and then we watched the second one on Friday night, although we started it a little bit too late, so the family only made it through about half the movie. I watched the whole thing. Yeah. It was great, you know, but the whole family only made it through about half the movie. So, and then we hit up, Amelia got invited to a birthday party on Saturday, and it was a 80s themed party. And so the girls all dressed up in their best Madonna 80s looks and stuff. It was terrific. And then they ended up
Amelia went in her Ripley her Ripley outfit, right?
Yeah, right.
The machine.
They ended up at our favorite pizza joint, the Totally 80s Pizza, and that was a lot of fun. Yep. And so to continue the theme, when we got home from there, we watched The Karate Kid. We introduced The Karate Kid.
That's right.
Saturday night.
How'd that go?
Surprisingly well. They liked the beginning of it. They got a little bored in the middle section there. But then when the ending came along, they both were like, I think Amelia was almost asleep at the end of the movie, and I was like, you got to wake up for this. Like, you gotta see this all the way through here. You're gonna love it, you know. And so she did. Once they got to the montage, you know, the best. Yeah. Right. Once the music came on, she was ready. And then she loved the, you know, Miyagi smashing his hands together and the music and all that stuff. So yeah.
Bill Conti.
Yeah.
Bill Conti.
So terrific
that's a good one.
Weekend of movies and stuff, you know, and then so they enjoyed watching The Karate Kid. And they gotta love that 80s, throw that 80s love in there a little bit. But
gosh, anytime you can get the chance to, right?
Yeah. Well, and Amelia was, you know, it was like asking, are we going to be able to, watch Cobra Kai? Can we watch Cobra Kai? And I was like, yeah, of course. Now you can watch it, now that you know kind of the story of the Karate Kid,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things we had a doctor's appointment on Friday for Jackson
the second one.
for his diabetes, and come to find out that the girl who plays Samantha, Ralph Macchio's Daniel LaRusso's daughter in the show, she is a type 1 diabetic in real life. So that was it's always kind of,
I've heard that.
yeah. And we actually had no idea. So we were actually a little bit surprised about that. And Jackson, it's always kind of neat for him when he finds out that somebody is on there. So
right.
Is it Paul Walter Hausers who you're talking about? Is the guy from the one that you're talking about, as far as the guy who's he plays Stingray on the show? Is that right?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Stingray. Yeah, okay. That's it. He had the Stingray goatee. Yeah. He plays an incredible, and it's a true story. That's another thing. So
okay. He's on that After Party too. I don't know if you watched.
You know what? I have to watch that because is it Lord and Miller behind that?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's an Apple TV. Christopher Miller is who's.
Well, Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Lord and Miller. That they're like the Russo brothers, but they're not brothers. But that's their like tag team name, I guess, is Lord and Miller.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think
I saw was them or the Russo brothers.
Yeah. Maybe he's associated with it, but I only saw Chris Miller was on that one. I don't think he's credited. The other guy's not credited on there, but
that'd be weird.
Yeah, but yeah, the After Party is
really good.
So good, man.
Yeah,
so good.
I know. I need to add that to my list. The list is long right now.
Yeah,
and
Tiffany Haddish, Sam Richardson. I just love Sam Richardson. He's so good. And I just think Tiffany Haddish is hilarious.
Dave Franco.
Yeah. And then of course James Franco. The rest of the cast is really, really good. Also, Dave Franco. Yeah. Ben Schwartz, our Sonic guy.
Oh, that's right. I was like, there's somebody else, Ben Schwartz. Yeah. I love that guy.
Yep.
Well, props to Apple Plus for putting out some damn good content.
Yeah.
And seeing what's coming up. Also, they're not stopping right now. So, you know, we just talked about some iconic 80s characters, movies. So first on the rundown, really iconic 80s character movie, whatever you want to call it. Tim Burton's Beetlejuice is coming back to the the big screen. Silver is it a silver screen?
Yeah, it's a silver screen.
Or a silver screen TV?
No, silver screen's the movie.
Back to the big screen TVs in the movie theaters. Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice. Also, the cast is being announced, and I'm pretty excited. They're getting Michael Keaton back, Tim Burton back.
Love it.
Winona Ryder back.
Yeah.
They're not bringing back Alec Baldwin. Monica Bellucci is going to play Beetlejuice's wife.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And Jenna Ortega is playing Winona Ryder's daughter. So, freaking, amazing casting right there. The original. Not that Winona was, Wednesday Addams, but she was kind of that first gothic kind of girl from Edward Scissorhands. And obviously Beetlejuice 1. So I don't know. What do you think, guys? Is this something that you're excited about?
Yes, I am. I guess, I'm just cautious about it because I think we had this discussion. I was listening to another podcast about movies and stuff, and they were discussing perfect movies,
yes.
and I think Beetlejuice falls into that category of a
Ooh.
perfect movie. You know,
Okay.
the comedy, the quirkiness, uh, the acting in it's hard.
The creativeness.
Yeah, it just was so different from anything you'd ever seen. And Tim Burton's mind is so different from.
Hmm.
But this was before anybody had really seen anything from Tim
Right.
Burton. I may have been his first. I don't know.
I think it was his first.
It might have been, yeah, it might have been his first. So it was our first look at what is, a very quirky and creative, just genius, really. And Michael Keaton's portrayal of Beetlejuice was so great. Alec Baldwin was really, really good as this kind of
Gina Davis.
yeah. Him and Gina Davis both were like this white bread couple,
Yeah.
with the khakis and the plaid shirt. I mean, and just they, had really no idea. They're like,
No
well, we got to
idea.
get these people out of our house, and they're like, and their early attempts to try and scare them were just terrible, just
Yeah.
absolutely terrible. And then to have Winona
she
Ryder,
ghost.
yeah, and then to have Winona Ryder in there, she was so good. The guy Otho,
Oh
the
yeah.
guy
Also,
who's out there, Catherine, what's her name,
oh
gosh,
yeah.
Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, Catherine
Oh my
O'Hara.
gosh, Catherine
Kevin
O'Hara is
McAllister's
so good in
mom.
that. Yeah, just from
Hey, oh.
yeah, gosh, it just is
Daylight
so good. Yeah,
come
so
and me
good.
wanna go
Good
home.
stuff. Good stuff for sure. So,
I'm excited.
I,
Michael Keaton makes me excited.
that's kind of where I sit right now. Like, okay, if Winona Ryder is coming back for it, if Michael Keaton's going to come back for it, if Tim Burton is going to come back for it, and they're going to give him control over it, I think it'll probably end up being all right.
Yeah.
It really will.
Yeah.
With Jenna Ortega, I get the hook into the younger audience. You got to have that.
Well, the Wednesday writers are the ones writing this, so
okay, cool.
there's the connection there.
Good.
And
yeah.
Tim Burton produced that, so there's a connection there.
Yeah, right.
But that's and Willem Dafoe is playing an afterlife cop, so please,
That'll
yes,
be great.
more Willem Dafoe in my life, right?
Oh yeah, he's so good, so good.
Next on the rundown, kind of an '80s iconic character.
Character for sure.
Yeah. Final season of Jack Ryan is going to be released on June 30th. They shot season 3 and 4 back to back.
Okay.
If you watch or listen to, well, I won't talk about that, but John Krasinski has said that it took almost 2 years of his life filming these 2 seasons, and I liked season 3. I didn't think it was as strong as the other seasons, but maybe this follow-up season going to be better.
Potentially, we'll see. Season 1 and season 2 were so good, that you it was going to be really hard to have 3 bangers in a row like that. I mean, it just gets tougher and tougher. So
especially when like under the lens of COVID, like much of still of what we're seeing in like TV shows and movies where the quality isn't the greatest, that's still from a filtered lens of COVID. Not a full excuse, but maybe a little bit of justification for some things.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, if you're filming a middle act and then a final act, sometimes that middle act is tougher to
or one act is going to outshine the other,
right. So it makes me optimistic that hopefully this final season will be a little bit better. But I've loved what they've done. I hope that they're not done with the Jack Ryan character with Krasinski playing the Jack Ryan character. But if they do, I think it may confuse audiences a little bit. But like we've already talked about with the Rainbow Six stuff is coming. So maybe they recast with an older Jack and or something. I don't know how they're going to do that. But yeah. So it's always been one of my favorite characters ever since I was a kid. I remember reading The Hunt for Red October. Back, way back in the 80s. And, I remember reading Clear and Present Danger and all those. And it just, man, Jack Ryan was a pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's been your favorite Jack Ryan story? Movie or book?
Yeah. I still, as much as I love the Krasinski retelling of everything,
Mm-hmm.
well, if I go with book, it's actually it's both. I would say The Hunt for Red October is still my favorite Jack Ryan, both book and movie. I really loved the movie. I really love the movie. Sean Connery does such a great job. Alec Baldwin does such a good job. He's not my favorite Jack Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
but it's my favorite Jack Ryan movie,
Favorite Jack Ryan then?
Well, I would probably say I didn't really like Harrison Ford as Jack Ryan. I would say too old. I like John Krasinski as Jack Ryan. I really do, as kind of a younger Jack Ryan for sure. I enjoy that. He plays the character closer to it. Ben Affleck's version was okay. I did like Chris Pine as and I kind of wish that they had done something more with that. Yeah. Yes. Chris Pine. Yep. But I'll have to say, I think Krasinski's my favorite Jack Ryan. As far as that
season
goes.
1 was so damn good though. It's hard not to pick that because it's 8 hours, 9 hours, however long it is.
Yeah.
How many ever?
I think the one we got robbed. The one character I think we got robbed of was in the Ben Affleck one, Sum of All Fears. We get introduced to the John Clark character played by Liev Schreiber, and he's so awesome in that. He's so awesome. And not that I don't like or appreciate Michael B. Jordan, because I think he's really, really terrific. But golly day, man, it would have been super cool to.
Dude, Liev Schreiber is a badass. He doesn't get as much credit as he deserves.
Yeah, it would have been really cool to see him as a John Clark, kind of going on and stuff, and seeing more of that. But so
I think Liev Schreiber voiced the Kingpin in Into the Spider-Verse, I think. One of my favorite TV shows of all time, Ray Donovan. That's Liev Schreiber of just being a freaking badass.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome in that.
So we should get a trailer on that soon, and maybe we'll react to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Next on the rundown, we have I'm not the biggest fan of us talking about rumors here, but this is a really crazy one. Not crazy, but just like when you start thinking about it, we're going to get a new Superman. And first of all, that's crazy in itself, but Superman Legacy is something James Gunn is working hard on the script right now, and they are in the casting phase, part of the casting phase. They start shooting in January, so they want to get somebody nailed down soon. Right now, the current favorite is a guy by the name of David Corin Sweat. Probably wouldn't know him unless I don't have his IMDb up right now, but he looks almost like a creepily crazy version of Tom Welling and Henry Cavill. Yeah. And I can totally see him as Superman. What do you think?
He does look a lot like Henry Cavill. I'll give you that. He hasn't done much. I gotta say, looking at his IMDb, there's really not a ton on there. He really kind of started in the business, it looks like, in like 2015, 2016, somewhere around in there. He was on a show called, his big thing was he was in 17 episodes of a thing called Mo and Jerry Weather, which I have no idea. Maybe that's a DC thing or whatever. I don't know what that is. But
The Politician, I think, is the one show that's pretty fairly popular that he's on. But
yeah, he did 11 episodes of that. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens.
Do you want an unknown, or
I
do you
hate
want
to
known?
go. I hate to go. It's a little early, but you know what? The guy has not disappointed me to this point. So, because I did enjoy the Suicide Squad, I'm gonna say what I'd say for Feige. I trust in James Gunn.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's safe.
I think he's got a great idea. I know he's turned the script in. He's got a terrific idea for what he wants, and he'll put the right person into that spot.
Sean Gunn. Yep.
Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. So, and Lois Lane will be played by his wife,
Jennifer Holland.
Yeah. So,
by the way,
I love how he gets crap. Like, I've seen people give him crap for like casting his brother, and
it's so stupid.
Like, it's like, you know what? He doesn't cast any different than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like Ron Howard has his brother in every single movie.
Right.
Like
Scorsese has De Niro.
De Niro and all those guys. And
Quentin Tarantino,
And Billy, same thing with not Billy Madison, but Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler makes movies to employ his friends. Like that's what they do. Like he makes sure that everybody gets paid.
Yep.
Everybody gets to get together and do something fun, and they all get a paycheck. They all get to keep working, and for people to give him a hard time about that, I just think is baloney. I think they're just mad that they're not in it.
Nolan, you don't give Nolan shit for casting Mike Cocaine for 9 movies. Like, it's so stupid. I think he even. Maybe he replied to a tweet who said it's no different than Scorsese or something like that. But
yeah.
He's like,
it's like, hey, you know what?
I'm gonna give my brother what I want.
He knows the performance he's going to get from his brother, and frankly,
he's great too.
Is there a performance from Sean Gunn that you can come up with, where you think that somebody else could have gone into that space and done a better job? Sure. I'm probably, but. Not really, not as far as I can tell.
He's never given a performance where I'm like, gosh, why you give it to him?
It's like that scene from Wayne's World where it's like, I know this is a bit part, but can't we get somebody better? And then they bring Charlton Heston in, and he's like, Gordon Street. I once knew a girl lived on Gordon Street. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was a younger man. Yeah.
Freaking
2 streets
Wayne's
down,
World.
1 over.
Showing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I trust in getting James Gunn as well. And I think I do want an unknown. Cavill was he was pretty much an unknown. I know he was on The Tudors and he was on some like Greek god movie. And he was on other stuff. I mean, he was on small time stuff, but Man of Steel was his breakout.
Yeah.
And he was great. And we've been now blessed with Henry Cavill for life. So
same thing with Christopher Reeve. I mean, like if you
Reeve,
go back and look, I mean,
Tom Welling. I
can't go with you. Like I cannot do that. I'm sorry.
You can't go with me on Tom Welling?
I can't. I'm sorry.
He was a terrible Superman.
He was. I'm sorry.
He was not a great Superman, but he was
everything about that was just bad. He was. I'm sure he was, but
watch your tongue.
That movie is just.
You watch your tongue.
Terrible.
And it's a TV show.
Oh, all right. Well, no, I'm talking about Superman Returns.
Oh, you're talking about Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That movie.
I thought we were gonna have to physically fight for a second, and I probably would have won. But I will say, Brandon Routh. I thought Brandon Routh was good for what the movie was, which was it was supposed to be a sequel to. He was supposed to be Christopher Reeve Superman, and that was a mistake. Like that just But he actually did a really great job emulating Christopher Reeve. It was just a shitty movie. It had one amazing scene. That plane scene was amazing. Anyway, James Gunn, I've been worried that his style isn't going to be right for Superman, so I have like tiny concern. But I think I'm going to trust in James Gunn always.
Yeah,
because you have no reason not to.
Yeah, at this point,
right? Look, they have the perfect track record.
Yeah.
All right. Next on the rundown is a couple health updates for some No Way Home actors. First one up, maybe possibly a weird situation. So Jamie Foxx reportedly had a stroke recently, and he was in the hospital for a really long time. As media does, things spin out of control. and we get word that like his family's preparing for the worst. Like they're gonna have to say goodbye to him soon.
Sure.
His daughter comes out with a post saying he's been released from the hospital for weeks, and media is weird, and he played pickleball yesterday.
Yeah.
And big news coming. So everyone's like, oh, okay, calm down. But then it started to kind of settle in where people were like, well, why didn't Jamie Foxx just make this statement himself? You know?
Sure.
I'm sure in a time like this, he wants his privacy, but is it weird that his daughter released it? Is he okay? What do you think? Am I tinfoil hatting this?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not really comfortable like commenting on somebody's health. You know, I don't know. Like I don't know anything. Nope. As far as I know, nobody knows anything outside of what the family is saying. And so there could be rumors, you know, the people and that family may be telling people stuff privately. And of course it's leaking out and all that stuff. Then maybe that's the case. If his daughter says he's out playing pickleball, then he's out playing pickleball, you know. But if strokes can be minor, they can be major, you know, so it's quite possible that, you know, when things happen like that to people, when a stroke happens to people like that, not everything functions right away, you know, so it takes a little while sometimes to recover. Sometimes you never recover. And so when people have a certain way about them, or, you know, everybody expects them to be a certain way, and that's not the case any longer, you know, maybe they're trying to keep that under wraps, if you will, until they can figure out, hey, this is how things are going to be forever, or we just need to give him a little bit of therapy for a couple of months, kind of keep him kind of tucked away a little bit, I guess, or whatever. And I don't know. I am just speculating at this. I don't know anything. I haven't read. I honestly have stayed really far away from this story because I don't like talking about people's, you know, medical conditions, because you just don't know. And frankly, you know, to me, he's a great dude. Like I've always thought Jamie was, my opinion of him has changed over the years, because originally when he came along, he was just so funny, you know, and he just made me laugh. Like everything that I saw him in, he just made me laugh. And I don't know that I was maybe slower than others to pick up that he was as talented as he was, you know, as an actor and stuff. And so I don't know that I necessarily picked up how great he was at just performance. And so you know, I want to see more of Jamie Foxx, as always, you know, and I enjoy him, and like talented. I said, and I just think he's, you know, never heard anybody say a negative thing about him. He just strikes me as one of the nicest and genuinely funny people, as well as just an incredibly great talent. And so my heart goes out to him and his family. I pray for him. You know, I'm hoping that they, you know, that he's able to recover fully, and if not, that, hey, you know, he'll be fine. You know, he'll be fine. He'll figure out a way to keep, you know, pick up the ball and keep moving forward. Yeah, because we were talking about Michael J. Fox earlier. You know, I think that was one of the things you had mentioned that you had watched, and that's another Apple Plus, you know, thing that came out. So I have not watched it yet, but that's another guy who's like, hey, this happened to me, so we'll pick up the ball, we keep moving forward, you know. Oh
man, yeah, go watch that. That is such a good doc. Well, it's an autobiography, but yeah, Jamie Foxx, I mean, he's so good at impressions. He's so good he's musically gifted. Like he can play so many instruments, sing well. He's really grown as an actor. I remember not really being the biggest fan of him until Collateral. And once Collateral came out with Tom Cruise, I was like, dang, Michael Mann. Jamie, Tom Cruise. Jamie Foxx can act. What a movie that was. So yeah, we obviously hope nothing but the best here. We're not necessarily commenting on his health, just kind of informing people about what's going on. It is a little weird. You know, we would like to hear from him, but you know what? We're not entitled to that, and he's not. No, we're not. He's not. He has no right he doesn't have to release a statement, I guess is what I'm trying to
say. He doesn't know. He doesn't know this a goddamn thing.
That's what. Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. That's what I was trying to say. He doesn't know the damn thing.
Yeah.
So, another health update is our good friend Tom Holland, everybody's little buddy.
Little buddy.
Yeah. He's currently, or not. He's not currently shooting, but he about a year and a half ago was filming a show we're going to talk about coming up on the trailer train, where he had to like kind of get Heath Ledger like into the mental aspect of things, and it was really starting to mess with him, and he could feel his mental health declining in a rapid rate, and so he decided to go sober. He's been sober for a year and 4 months. Maybe that's why he has those abs. I don't know. But really good news for somebody like Tom Holland, who's a young guy in Hollywood. You just hope that he doesn't get trapped into that machine, and him going sober this early in his career is great news. What do you think?
Well, I haven't read the entire story on this, but I can tell you this, that as a person who myself has been sober for 2023, 21 years, that I'm immensely proud of him. I don't pretend to know any of the factors that went into his decision to become sober. And again, that's another thing that it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He made the choice, and I'm always so proud of people when they recognize that could be an issue for them, and then they take that on, and it doesn't even matter. It's like, okay, well, I've been sober for 16 months. It's like, or a guy who comes to me and says, hey, I've been sober for 2 weeks. It's like, hey man, like I'm equally as proud of each of those people. And the further you go down that road, the better. I have to believe that RDJ has to be somebody who talked to him, influenced him and worked with him, because Robert Downey Jr. has been in the industry for a really long time, and he started out very young as well. So his career path kind of probably mirrored.
That's such a good point. I bet he
Tom
did have
Holland's
such a big voice in that.
Yeah, and so he can, if you're not careful, the alcohol and the drugs and just the nature of the business, which is that you disassociate yourself, and for some people, like method actors and stuff like that, they really disassociate themselves, and they become this character, and when sometimes you see that
tragically
happen, so, and sometimes it as much as they try and disassociate, that character comes back with them, or the physical addiction, that type of stuff, kind of they use that to escape or whatever. And so it's I will just say this, like I said, I'm very proud of him. 16 months is amazing, and I'm hoping that him, and because he and Zendaya are an item
thing,
yep. So I'm hoping that that she's, and I'm sure she is, supportive of him. I'm sure his family and his friends and all of them are super supportive of him. And I just think it's great. I really do. He's such a, every time I've seen him in anything, he's really, really great. But then on top of that, every time I've seen him in an interview or heard him talk,
he's even better.
He's even better. He really is. And I just, I wish him nothing but the best. And I'm, like I said, I'm so proud, I just think it's really, really cool. So,
I mean, it's just, you just are like so happy. We were deprived of a Macaulay Culkin for so long, that kid could have been something special. He was something special.
He was, yeah.
And the Hollywood machine ate him alive.
But I mean, it happens to a lot of dudes, I mean, you look at like,
River Phoenix.
You can see River Phoenix. You can see Tobey Maguire when we talk about Spider-Mans. Like Tobey Maguire, his personal issues have caused him problems.
Yep.
You know, I know
some
that
real bad gambling stuff.
Yeah, I know. Ben Affleck has had issues, and stuff like that with his with his drinking and stuff. And so, all those Charlie Sheen, like there's a lot of dudes out there that, started out fairly young and this fame comes to them very quickly. And, it's like, I mean, I hate to quote Nickelback, but it's like the girls come easy and the drugs come cheap. It's like, it's just,
so true, dude. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So,
good for our little buddy, Tom Holland.
Yep.
I say little, but that kid probably whooped my ass. So,
oh my gosh, he's so buff, dude.
He's so
buff. Yeah,
and he's athletic. Like he does those flips all on his own.
I will tell you a quick story, and that's not a Tom Holland. And this is going to go totally sideways on me here, but my wife has this friend Emma who's from Cornwall, England.
Yeah,
and her sister Jen just got married this weekend. Jen and Matt got married. Congratulations to both of them.
Congrats.
I'm super happy for them. Sorry we weren't able to attend, but we did get an invitation. But it's hard to take kids out of school and all that stuff. And if I'm going to take them over there, I'm going to take them over there.
It's hard to take kids. You can stop there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Emma was at a restaurant or someplace one evening while she was out there, and she ran into Taron Egerton.
Oh yeah,
from
Egerton. Yeah.
Yeah, from he did Eddie the Eagle, and then he also did the Kingsman movies and stuff.
He also is the main guy on Blackbird.
Yeah, and
he's fantastic.
And he's a really good actor. He's really, 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 really good. So she asked him if she could buy him a drink, and he said no. He would be in trouble with his parents if he ever let a woman buy him a drink. So, but he was with his parents and stuff, and she said that he was just the most delightful person. She said he was so nice. He introduced her to his parents, and they chatted for a while, and they shared a little bit of gin together and stuff like that. And but she just said he was just wonderful. And I think that's always so cool when people have fan interactions with famous people and stuff, and they just are just wonderful people. So anyhow, thought I'd throw that out there.
Well, congrats.
Yeah, congrats to Jen and Matt.
Yeah, Jen and Matt. Trailer train. Yeah,
let's hit it.
All right. True crime on the trailer train.
Yes.
First one up is Kaylee Kuwako, and based on a true story, premiering on Peacock. This one surprised me. I was like, what is this?
Right.
And then I was like, oh, okay, I can see us watching this. And it's so funny because it's not parroting podcasts, but it's bringing podcasts into the light a little bit, but also I love the amplification of women's desires for true crime podcasts. Yeah. Like it's so weird to me.
So weird.
It's so weird
an obsession with true crime.
Such an obsession.
Yeah. But you know what? Like I've heard so many stories of like serial killers where women just like write to them and basically like want to get married to them and all that stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? It's like he literally choked like 6 women to death, and like wore their skins, and you're like, yeah, but that's not going to happen to me,
right.
Like
I want to marry him. I don't want him to kill
me.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't. That's not how it works here. But
and we've loved you've seen Only Murders in the Building, right?
I have not watched that, and I have not watched Murderville. I think on that one. I haven't watched that. Son. I also have not watched After Party. Like I'm a little behind on my crime stuff.
I'm telling you, the Only Murders in the Building is really, really great because it's Steve Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. And they have a podcast about true crime that takes place in their building. There's a murder that happens in their building, and so they start a podcast talking about how they want, they're trying to solve this one, and it's Steve Martin and Martin Short. So it's just really really terrific.
I need to add that to the list.
It's
on
really
Prime,
good.
right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Might be on Hulu.
I think it may be Hulu. I think it is Hulu.
Yeah. I can't remember, but.
Yeah, well, based on a true story, comes out on Peacock soon.
It looked really funny.
It
looked really funny, but then it looked kind of serious too. There was some kind of intense.
A bit of dramedy in there.
Yeah, there was some pretty intense kind of stuff going on. But
do you think her husband's the killer? I got that feeling in the.
I do not. Yeah, I do not. But
okay.
I don't know. I haven't seen enough.
Calling
of
it now. Calling it now.
Hey, all right, put the marker down. Let's say it's the husband. It's the husband did it.
It's always the husband, right? Isn't that the thing about true crime? It's always the husband. Yeah, right. The next trailer on the train, also another surprising trailer. I clicked on it because it was Kate Beckinsale, and I just I have this disease where I just click on Kate Beckinsale stuff. So sue me, but
it's disease, brother. It's called testosterone.
It's called being a man. Prisoner's Daughter. This one surprised me because, again, clicked on it for Kate Beckinsale, and then Brian Cox comes on the screen, and I forget about Kate Beckinsale because Brian Cox is such a commanding presence. For the general audience, Brian Cox, Brian Cox as Succession. He was the old guy on Succession. So, and if you don't know who Kate Beckinsale is, just turn this off right now.
Right. You're fired.
You're fired. So Kate Beckinsale's father is Brian Cox, and he's apparently been in and out of jail a lot. A terrible dad. He gets out for the last time. He's old. He's dying. He wants to spend his dying days with his daughter. Of course, his daughter doesn't want it. That old story, Yeah. But honestly, this looks really, really good. I don't know how the guy who the baby daddy, I don't know how he ever scored with Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well.
But I don't know. What do you think?
I enjoyed the trailer as well. I think I was watching it, and when again Kate Beckinsale. At first, I didn't really recognize her as Kate Beckinsale. I'm like I know that face, but they've done a good job of making her look
down home.
Look a little more homely, but more like just beaten down. Life is kind of life is kind of beating her down, and and then when Brian Cox came on, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm in, because the guy just is so good.
Okay.
He just is so good. I mean, everything from Super Troopers, to he played Stryker. Didn't he play Stryker in the X-Men movie?
Yep, he played William Stryker in X2. He was really good in Troy.
Agamemnon, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I liked it, and I enjoyed during the trailer. You can kind of see this bond between grandfather and grandson that was developing, and I thought that was really, really cool. And then the baby daddy seems like he's a real dirtbag, so that'll be that'll be pretty interesting.
Like you need to look yourself in the mirror, son, because that's Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep.
The next trailer, I don't know why I'm throwing this in, just because it's gotten to a point that it almost needs to be talked about, was the Fast X final trailer. Oh, I think that was a trailer that also came on. Not this one, but a different trailer came on in Guardians. Yeah. And I was just like, what is how do we get to this point? I'm asking everybody in the world who has watched these and has gotten us to this point.
Can you do me a favor and comment on the YouTube? Like, if
please let us know.
Tell me why you go back. Like, why do you go back?
I mean, this is a 4 minutes and 43 seconds.
Yeah, it was almost a 5-minute trailer.
Almost a 5-minute trailer. Part of it, like a minute and a half, was Michelle Rodriguez fighting Charlize Theron. I'm like, this is what they decided to put in the trailer. Like, are they not very? Like, I couldn't tell if they were like trying to sell me on this movie being amazing and like, here's just 4 minutes like of an amazing movie, or like, look at all this amazing stuff. And I know John Cena was like the bad guy in the previous movie, just like Jason Statham was the bad guy in the previous movie, and just like Charlize Theron was the bad guy in the previous movie, and it's like what? How'd
I feel like,
and now John Cena is like his peacemaker guy in it, and he was like he's supposed to be Dom Toretto's brother. Like
and I'm trying to understand Brie Larson's character. She's aware
still don't
that
know what she is. Do you?
She's aware that when you fire a gun, that there is like a recoil to it, and that you know, like, and that the gun is most likely heavy, because the way she's carrying that gun and firing from the hip, it's like it.
I know. I mean, and I can't tell. Is she a cop? Oh, and then I didn't know Alan Richardson was in this. The guy who plays the newest Jack Reacher. Love that guy, but man, is Vin Diesel that strong that he's going to be able to hold up two? When that thing starts flipping, all he does is he holds on like this and then puts his feet against Alan Richardson. He's going to be able. Yeah. He did stomp the street in that one Fast and Furious movie, and the whole bridge came down. So they decided to go in a direction for these movies where it was only like, we're just going to embrace crazy. And we're going to make this like, we got to up it every time. I mean, they've replayed some of the dumbest moments from the franchise early on in the trailer. Like when Dom Toretto drove through 2 skyscrapers. I can't forgive them for shit like that, I can't get into this. I got into Hobbs and Shaw because it didn't have Dom Toretto. And it felt like it was a different part of the franchise, which it was.
Kind of felt more fresh.
Yeah.
At least it was a little more fresh. But yeah.
And it still got a little out of hand, but still, I don't know. I'm just so sick of these movies. They need to end. And I know there's, I think, at least one more. I'm like,
oh, for sure. I've heard more. I've heard there's like 3 or 4 more at least that they're thinking of.
But Jason Statham. Okay, so I'm watching this and I'm like, oh man, Jason Statham looks great in this. And you know what? I actually really enjoy John Cena when he's in this like goofball mode, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, do I want to watch this? And then Jason Momoa comes on and is like, boom,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can't do it.
Never mind. I don't care how good you guys are. You could be Oscar worthy, and I still am not watching this thing.
Yeah.
So,
Jason Momoa killed it for me. So
worst case scenario for me is one of my children is going to be a Fast and Furious fan, and I just pray that doesn't happen. So
just delete all copies of those movies that you absolutely can.
I'll block it. Somehow block it.
You find a Fast and Furious blocker.
Yeah, like some sort of web.
That sounds like an SNL skit.
Yeah, right.
All right. Final trailer was something we mentioned earlier, but didn't give too many hints away. Was Tom Holland in The Crowded Room, which is an Apple Plus series starting June 9th. Man, this looks heavy. Here's another kind of story where the main actor, is going through some mental stuff, and the mystery, which I don't know if this is a true story or not.
It's based on a true story.
It is based on a true story.
It takes place in like 1979.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
it's based on a guy who it's based on a real character who was diagnosed with, I think, dissociative personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So basically multiple personalities, and and he talks about in the trailer how he has gaps. He's like, I have gaps in my memory.
That makes sense.
And and then he's implicated in a shooting in New York City, and
yes.
And so then the Amanda Seyfried plays a cop, a detective, and she's interviewing him.
She's really grown as an actress.
really terrific. She gets some good screen time in this trailer, and I'm really impressed with her. I'm really impressed with her in that. Her and Tom seem to have pretty good chemistry with each other as far as, the antagonist and protagonist type situation. And I'm not sure which one is which actually in that scene. So, all in all, I really liked it. And that's going to be a show.
That's going to be a show.
The Crowded Room is going to be a show. So yeah.
You watched the trailer, you're like, this has to be a show, because it felt like it was a lot of content in the trailer. Yeah, for sure. So the Based on a True Story is going to be a show, and then the Crowded Room is going to be on a show, and then I think The Prisoner's Daughter and of course Fast X will be movies. But yeah, Fast X will be a skip. Crowded Room looks great. That's just, I mean, again, Apple Plus bookending things here with on the rundown. Like, good job, Apple Plus. You guys are putting out some great content. I'm trying to gobble it up as much as I can. Yep. NRDbox time. Buddy of mine, Jim Grosskopf, was talking to me recently and was like, I've got a great idea for one of your shows. I'm like, okay. And he's like, for the presents. I'm like, okay. He's like, do you have any of those like Marvel cards with the superhero powers on the back? I'm like, I actually have a crap ton of those. I used to have one here on my desk of a Wolvie and Spidey. Yeah. But anyway, he's like, yeah, come up with a game where you like this is why podcasting is hard, because you got to come up with ideas. And he's like starting to put it together, and he's like, okay, just figure it out, like battle those cards against each other. I'm like, okay, I'll work on that. He goes, but what's some other shows you're working on? And so I was like, glad you asked, because we just released our Nerd Rundown reactions. Yep. Which, very excited about that show right now. Yeah. We got some stuff coming up for that one this week. For sure. Yeah. And then I think we are developing an idea of an interview show that would go into a deep dive with just normal people, of like people who are nerds about whatever, like we've talked, it's been a theme since the very, very get-go, was that everybody's a nerd in their own way. Oh yeah. Whether they admit it or not. So, if we've said it before, if you're a guy who turns wrenches, and the compression ratios on all your motors and stuff like that, it's like, hey man, I hate to break it to you, but you're a nerd, or if you're, the season ticket holder to the New York Yankees, and everybody who started for them for the last 40 years, that type of stuff. So absolutely. And part of that, though, real quick, part of that, where that was born from, everybody's a nerd in their own way, was born from just this terrible stereotype about nerds, like pushing up my glasses kind of, or talking like this. And it's always just a stereotype that I've hated and wanted to combat for a long time. And so I was like, you know what, let's create a podcast kind of with that theme and bred into the DNA of the show. And Erik came up with this incredible idea of like, anytime we have a new host on the show, what do we ask them? What kind of nerd are you? Right. So I've had fun. I've actually kind of started sampling it with some people. There's somebody in the neighborhood who loves the puzzle. And so we were at a neighborhood thing recently, and I was like, I'm going to dig into this real quick and really figure out, like, is this something that we could talk to somebody about? And for 15 minutes, 2 questions, it was like, this could be an awesome thing. And I'm very excited as we continue to develop that and figure out what that is. That should be an easy thing for us to put together. And so if you want to be interviewed, let us know. It's funny. If you'd be up for being interviewed, that'd be terrific, because a lot of the times you get people into, you could have probably the quietest, shyest person there is, but if you hit on what they love, they will
talk your ear off, and they will tell you everything imaginable about that,
Yeah.
so we've got to figure out a way to make that, and most of the time it's you don't even have to, like make that entertaining, like we just need to make sure we've got the right format for it and put the right stuff in place. And so that's the idea. I think right now that's the next, and we're still a little ways off before that happens, but yeah, I think the next iteration of the show that we're kind of focusing on is this trailer, reaction show, or and that may not be limited to trailers. We may move into full episodes, or other things.
This is a different beast. We want, that's where we want the show to evolve to, for sure.
But that'll have to move to different platforms, at least from a video perspective. That'll have to move to a different platform, at least
semantics, logistics.
Yeah, because of
we'll figure
copyright
that out.
infringement stuff and all that. So
little small details.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, so we have that that we're developing. I'm really excited about it. Like, I get giddy thinking about it, especially just because I just love when people nerd out about the smallest things like puzzling. So
for sure.
The recap show, we gotta figure out what show to put on next. Some of the big shows coming up for the summer might, maybe Yellowstone or maybe Jack Ryan, if that's a weekly release. Figure that out. So the recap's still there, and the presents still come back around when we have a really good idea. We started thinking about some of those. We have actually a whole list of ideas, for like, banking ideas. So
and if you have any ideas for the show, let us know. Like this one here,
do you want us to deep
about the
dive
Marvel
in one
cards
topic?
And superpowers? That sounds like a fun one.
I know. I'm like, I can figure out a game for that, or send it to make.
Right.
Yep. And then the rundown, right? So what we're doing on a weekly basis. It's the newsy show. We're bringing you the news on a weekly basis to inform you what's coming on. I know some people are like, I don't know if something's coming out unless you guys are talking about it. So
right,
I love when I hear that. So,
that's great.
But yeah, it's all just, all this is just so we can nerd out in different ways, because we're all a nerd in our own way, and we all nerd out about something or many things.
For sure.
And, nerds are awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
We love them.
We love them. We love you, nerds. And with that being said, we'll see you all next week on the Nerd Rundown.
See ya.